Oh, man.
Oh, by the way, Phyllis called me. I don't know
People
why.
kiss.
I don't know why she called me. She called me. She called me. Tell me.
I don't know why she didn't call me.
I just want to let Linda know that Cheryl called Tina. Told her that's okay. You can have it. Just because you can take it. And Tina told her. He told her, yes, and don't call me. She's friends with her. This is what she did to her.
Yeah.
So she said, and then she talked to the guy. The guy was the one.
Mhm. You mean the funeral director
Director, yeah.
at the funeral parlor?
We're gonna have to call it that. Ashes.
Yeah.
You're not sure yet. Probably Monday or so. So she said that that's where we at 2 o'clock. I just want to let you know.
Why didn't she call me? She figures I won't know.
What?
Give me kisses and hugs. If I don't do it,
Oh,
what will I do? Coco, you're so jealous. What is this, Google? What's going on? She didn't let me work. Second week of February. First week she goes through, second week. I think I better laugh.
Hare Krishna, Mataji's, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. I'm very, very sorry I'm late. I had to take a phone call just before the class and it got delayed more than had anticipated. So we can start prayers. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatho Jayam Virayat Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki. So today we are starting a new chapter. Yesterday we finished chapter 6. Today we'll be reading translations of chapter 7. The sacrifice performed by Daksha from Canto 4. So I just want to request the devotees, whoever have books and would like to read, we all can read 5 verses each, so that we all get a chance to contribute. So actually I see many devotees today. So just going down the list of devotees I can see. Linda Mataji, do you? Oh, I think this is my sister's phone. Okay, so next it's Antaranga Seva Mataji. Do you have a book? Would you like to read also?
Mataji, I'll read from my phone.
Okay. Dheera Shanta Mataji, do you have a book?
Hare Krishna Mataji, yes, I have.
Fantastic. Okay. So Govardhan Leela Mataji, you also have a book?
I do, Mataji, but I just realized I have to be on another meeting. Oh boy, this is a hard day for me. I thought I would be able to sit, like I could sit and at least do the meeting today, but it seems that I have to be on another meeting now. I'm very sorry.
Yeah, no problem, Mataji.
We have some new members.
Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
Yes. Lavanya Mataji from Dallas, Texas, and Sri Devi Dasi from New Orleans. And disciples of my Guru Maharaj, and they are both joining our group.
Yes, Mataji, we actually spoke with them yesterday. So, yeah, thank you, Mataji. It's really nice to have them both. So, Lavanya Mataji, you have a book also?
And I can, I can read until 5:30, my husband said. He said the meeting I have to get on is at 5:30. So I can be on for 15 minutes.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes, Mataji, I have the book, Mataji.
Okay,
I can also read it.
Okay, Sri Devi Mataji, you are also able to read?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Okay, fantastic. So we have a big group today. Rohini Mataji will hear, my sister will hear, and we all can read, can take turns. So we will read 5 verses each. We'll read the translation so we can finish the chapter today. This is mostly to understand the story of the chapter. So in the beginning of the chapter, we usually do this. We just read all the translations. And once the translations are read, then the next day we start reading verses in the purports so that we can dive more deeper in the subject matter of the chapter. So, Govardhan Leela Mataji, would you like to start? We can read the
Sure.
first 5 verses.
Thank you. So we're just doing translations.
Yes.
Okay. Text 1. The sage Maitreya said, O armed Vidura, Lord Shiva, being thus pacified by the words of Lord Brahma, spoke as follows in answer to Lord Brahma's request. Text 2. Lord Shiva said, My dear Father Brahma, I do not mind the offenses created by the demigods. Because these demigods are childish and less intelligent, I do not take a serious view of their offenses, and I have punished them only in order to right them. 3. Lord Shiva continued, since the head of Daksha has already been burned to ashes, he will have the head of a ghost. He will have the head of a goat. The demigod known as Bhaga will be able to see his share of sacrifice through the eyes of Mitra. Text 4. The demigod Pusha will be able to chew only through the teeth of his disciples, and if alone, he will have to satisfy himself by eating dough made from chickpea flour. But the demigods who have agreed to give me my share of the sacrifice will recover from all their injuries. Text 5. Those who have had their arms cut off will have to work with the arms of Ashvini Kumara, and those whose hands were cut off will have to do their work with the hands of Pusha. The priests will also have to act in that manner. As for Brigu, he will have the beard from the goat's head. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Antaranga Seva Mataji, would you like to go next?
Okay, Mataji. Text 6. The great sage Maitreya said,
Yes.
The great sage Maitreya said, My dear Vidura, all the personalities present were very much satisfied in heart and soul upon hearing the words of Lord Shiva, who is the best among the benedictors. Text 7. Thereafter, Bhrigu, the chief of the great sages, invited Lord Shiva to come to the sacrificial arena. Thus the demigods, accompanied by the sages, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, all went to the place where the great sacrifice was being performed. Text 8. After everything was executed exactly as directed by Lord Shiva, Daksha's body was joined to the head of the animal meant to be killed in sacrifice. Text 9. When the animal's head was fixed on the body of King Daksha, Daksha was immediately brought to consciousness and he was awakened from sleep. The king saw Lord Shiva standing before him. Text 10. At that time, when Daksha saw Lord Shiva, who rides upon a bull, his heart, which was polluted by envy of Lord Shiva, was immediately cleansed, just as the water in the lake is cleansed by autumn rains.
Thank you, Mataji. Dheera Shanta Mataji, would you like to go next?
Yes, Mataji, thank you.
Thank you.
So text 11. King Daksha wanted to offer prayers to Lord Shiva, but as he remembered the ill-fated death of his daughter Sati, his eyes filled with tears, and in bereavement his voice choked up and he could not say anything. Text 12. At this time, King Daksha, afflicted by love and affection, was very much awakened to his real senses. With great endeavor, he pacified his mind, checked his feelings, and with pure consciousness began to offer prayers to Lord Shiva. Text 13. King Daksha said, My dear Lord Shiva, I committed a great offense against you, but you are so kind that instead of withdrawing your mercy, you have done me a great favor by punishing me. You and Lord Vishnu never neglect even useless unqualified Brahmanas, why then should you neglect me, who am engaged in performing sacrifices? Text 14. My dear great and powerful Lord Shiva, you were created first from the mouth of Lord Brahma in order to protect the Brahmanas in pursuing education, austerities, vows, and self-realization. As protector of the Brahmanas, you always protect the regulative principles they follow, just as a cowherd boy keeps a stick in his hand to give protection to the cows. Text 15. I did not know your full glories for this reason. I threw arrows of sharp words at you in the open assemblies, although you did not take them into account. I was going down to hell because of my disobedience to you, who are the most respectable personality, but you took compassion upon me and saved me by awarding punishment. I request that you be pleased by your own mercy, since I cannot satisfy you by my words.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Lavanya Mataji, would you like to read next?
Yes, Mataji. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Text
Hare Krishna.
16. The great sage Maitreya said, thus being pardoned by Lord Shiva, King Daksha, with the permission of Lord Brahma, again began the performance of the yajna, along with the great learned sages, the priests, and others. Text 17. Thereafter, in order to resume the activities of sacrifice, the Brahmanas first arranged to purify the sacrificial arena of the contamination caused by the touch of Virabhadra and the other ghostly followers of Lord Shiva. Then they arranged to offer into the fire the oblations known as Purodasa. Text 18. The great sage Maitreya said to Vidura, my dear Vidura, as soon as King Daksha offered the clarified butter with Yajurveda mantras in sanctified meditation, Lord Vishnu appeared there in his original form as Narayana. Text 19. Lord Narayana was seated on the shoulder of Stotra or Garuda, who had big wings. As soon as the Lord appeared, all directions were illuminated, diminishing the luster of Brahma and the others present. Text 20. His complexion was blackish, his garment yellow like gold, and his helmet as dazzling as the sun. His hair was bluish, the color of black bees, and his face was decorated with earrings. His 8 hands held a conch shell, wheel, club, lotus flower, arrow, bow, shield, and sword, and they were decorated with golden ornaments such as bangles and bracelets. His whole body resembled a blossoming tree, beautifully decorated with various kinds of flowers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Sridevi Mataji, would you like to go next?
Okay, we are on text 22, right? 21.
21,
Right,
Mataji.
right. Lord Vishnu looked extraordinarily beautiful because the goddess of fortune and a garland was situated on his chest. His face was beautifully decorated with a smiling attitude which can captivate the entire world, especially the devotees. Fans of white hair appeared on both sides of the Lord like white swans, and the white canopy overhead looked like the moon. As soon as Lord Vishnu was visible, all the demigods, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, the Gandharvas, and all present there immediately offered their respectful obeisances by falling down straight before him. In the presence of the glaring effulgence of the bodily luster of Narayan, everyone else's luster faded away and everyone stopped speaking. Fearful with awe and veneration, all present touched their hands to their heads and prepared to offer their prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Adhukshaja. Although the mental scope of even demigods like Brahma was unable to comprehend the unlimited glories of the Supreme Lord, they were all able to perceive the transcendental form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by His grace. Only by such grace could they offer their respectful prayers according to their different capacities. When Lord Vishnu accepted the oblations offered in the sacrifice, Daksha, the Prajapati, began with great pleasure to offer respectful prayers unto him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually the master of all sacrifices and preceptor of all the Prajapatis, and he is served even by such personalities as Nanda and Sunanda.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Manisi Ganga Mataji, I'm just seeing that you joined. Do you have a book? Would you like to
Yes,
continue reading?
yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Just one question, Leela Manjari. Why we are not reading the books today? Haribol?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I'm sorry, I'm not in front of a book. I'm away from my laptop, and so I'm sorry I cannot participate.
Her question being that she's wondering why we're not reading the purports, I believe. Is that your question, Sridevi?
Yeah, I'm wondering why we are not reading purports today.
Mataji, actually, in the beginning of every chapter, in order to understand the story, we read the translations. And once we know the story, then we come back and then read each verse by verse with the Sanskrit and the purports.
So we read a summary form for the first day in that chapter, and then the second day we start into reading it regularly.
Okay, I got it. That makes so much sense. Thank you.
Text 26. Daksha addressed the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My dear Lord, you are transcendental to all speculative positions. You are completely spiritual, devoid of all fear, and you are always in control of the material energy. Even though you appear in the material energy, you are situated transcendentally. You are always free from material contamination because you are completely self-sufficient. 27. The priests addressed the Lord, saying, O Lord, transcendental to material contamination, by the curse offered by Lord Shiva's men, we have become attached to fruitive activities, and thus we are now fallen, and therefore do not know anything about you. On the contrary, we are now involved in the injunctions of the three departments of the Vedic knowledge under the plea of executing rituals in the name of yagna. We know that you have made arrangements for distributing the respective shares of the demigods. 28. The members of the assembly addressed the Lord, O exclusive shelter for all who are situated in troubled life, in this formidable fort of conditional existence, the time element, like a snake, is always looking for an opportunity to strike. This world is full of ditches of so-called distress and happiness, and there are many ferocious animals always ready to attack. The fire of lamentation is always blazing, and the mirage of false happiness is always alluring, but one has no shelter from them. Thus, foolish persons live in the cycle of birth and death, always overburdened in discharging their so-called duties, and we do not know when they will accept the shelter of your lotus feet. 29. Lord Shiva said, My dear Lord, my mind and consciousness are always fixed on your lotus feet, which, as the source of all benediction and the fulfillment of all desires, are worshipped by all liberated great sages, because your lotus feet are worthy of worship. With my mind fixed on your lotus feet, I am no longer disturbed by persons who blaspheme me, claiming that my activities are not purified. I do not mind their accusations, and I excuse them out of compassion, just as you exhibit compassion toward all living entities. Very nice. And 30, Sri Brugu said, "My dear Lord, all living entities, beginning from the highest, namely Lord Brahma, down to the ordinary ant, are under the influence of the insurmountable spell of illusory energy, and thus they are ignorant of their constitutional position. Everyone believes in the concept of the body, and all are thus submerged in the darkness of illusion. They are actually unable to understand how you live in every living entity as the supersoul, nor can they understand your absolute position. But you are the eternal friend and protector of all surrendered souls. Therefore, please be kind toward us and forgive all our offenses."
Thank you, Mataji. Ruchi Mataji, do you have a book? Would you like to read?
I'm not doing so well, so I won't be able to read.
Mataji, thank you for joining. Although you're not well, please take care. So I will read the next 5 verses and then we will go back to the sequence again. So this is 31. Lord Brahma said, "My dear Lord, your personality and eternal form cannot be understood by any person who is trying to know you through the different processes of acquiring knowledge. Your position is always transcendental to the material creation, whereas the empiric attempt to understand you is material as all as are its objectives and instruments." 32. King Indra said, "My dear Lord, your transcendental form with 8 arms and weapons in each of them appears for the welfare of the entire universe, and it is very pleasing to the mind and eyes. In such a form, your lordship is always prepared to punish the demons who are envious of your devotees." 33. The wives of the performers of the sacrifice said, "My dear Lord, this sacrifice was arranged under the instruction of Brahma, but unfortunately, Lord Shiva, being angry at Daksha, devastated the entire scene. And because of his anger, the animals meant for sacrifice are laying dead. Therefore, the preparation of the yajna have been lost. Now, by the glance of your lotus eyes, the sanctity of the sacrificial arena may be again invoked." 34. The sages prayed, "Dear Lord, your activities are most wonderful, and although you do everything by your different potencies, you are not at all attached to such activities. You are not even attached to the goddess of fortune, who is worshipped by the great demigods like Brahma, who pray to achieve her mercy." 35. The Siddhas prayed, "Like an elephant that has suffered in a forest fire but can forget all its troubles by entering a river, our minds, O Lord, always merge in the nectarian river of your transcendental pastimes, and they desire never to leave such transcendental bliss, which is as good as the pleasure of merging in the absolute." Okay, so Antaranga Seva Mataji, would you like to continue?
Okay, Mataji. Text 36. The wife of Daksha prayed as follows: "My dear Lord, it is very fortunate that you have appeared in this arena of sacrifice. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, and I request that you be pleased on this occasion. The sacrificial arena is not beautiful without you, just as a body is not beautiful without the head." Text 37. The governors of various planets spoke as follows: "Dear Lord, we believe only in our direct perception, and therefore we see you as a creation of the material world. But under the circumstances, we do not know whether we have actually seen you with our material senses. By our material senses, we can simply perceive the cosmic manifestation, but you are beyond the 5 elements, you are the 6th." Text 38. The great mystic said, Dear Lord, persons who see you as non different from themselves, knowing that you are the super soul of all living entities, are certainly very, very dear to you. You are very favorable towards those who engage in devotional service. Accepting you as the Lord and themselves as the servants, by your mercy you are always inclined in their favor. Text 39. We offer our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme, who has created varieties of manifestations and put them under the spell of three qualities of material world in order to create, maintain, and annihilate them. He himself is not under the control of the external energy. In his personal feature, he is completely devoid of the variegated manifestation of material qualities, and he is under no illusion of false identification. Text 40. The personified Vedas said, We offer our respectful obeisances unto you, the Lord, the shelter of the quality of goodness, and therefore the source of religion, austerity, and penance. For you are transcendental to all material qualities, and no one knows you or your actual situation.
Thank you, Mataji. Dhirashanta Mataji.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes, Mataji. Thank
Okay,
you.
so I'm going to read text 41.
Yes.
The fire god said, My dear Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, because by your favor I am as illumination as blazing fire, and I accept the offerings mixed with butter and offer in sacrifice. The five kinds of offerings, according to the Yajurveda, are all your different energies, and you are worshipped by five kinds of Vedic rhymes. Sacrifice means your supreme personality of Godhead. Text 42. The demigod said, Dear Lord, formerly when there was a devastation, you conserve all the different energies of material manifestation. At that time, all the inhabitants of the higher planets represented by such liberated souls as Sanaka were meditating on you by philosophical speculation. You are therefore the original person, and you rest in the water of devastation on the bed of the sheer snake. Now, today you are visible to us who are all your servants. Please give us protection. Text 43. The Gandharvas said, Dear Lord, all the demigods, including Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Indra, and Marichi, and the great sages, are all only differentiated parts and parcel of your body. You are the supreme, almighty, great. The whole creation is just like a playing for you. We always accept you as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Text 44. The Vidyadhara said, Dear Lord, this human form of body is meant for attaining the highest perfectional objective, but impelled by your external energy, the living entity misidentifies himself with this body and with the material energy, and therefore, influenced by Maya, he wants to become happy by material enjoyment. He is misled and always attracted by temporary, illusory happiness. But your transcendental activities are so powerful that if one engages in the hearing and chanting of such topics, he can be delivered from illusion. So text 45. The Brahmana said, Dear Lord, you are sacrifice personified. You are the offering of clarified butter, you are the fire, you are the chanting of Vedic rhymes by which the sacrifice is con- conducted, you are the fuel, you are the flame, you are the kusa grass, and you are the sacrificial pots, you are the priest who perform the yajna, you are the demigods headed by Indra, and you are the sacrificial animal. Everything that is sacrificed is you or your energy.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Manya Mataji, would you like to go
Yes,
next?
yes, Mataji.
Thank you.
Dear Lord, text 46, Dear Lord, O personified Vedic knowledge, in the past millennium, long, long ago, when you appeared as the great boar incarnation, you picked up the world from the water as an elephant picks up a lotus flower from a lake. When you vibrated transcendental sound in the gigantic form of a boar, the sound was accepted as a sacrificial hymn, and great sages like Sanaka meditated upon it and offered prayers for your glorification. Text 47. Dear Lord, we were waiting your audience because we have been unable to perform the yajnas according to the Vedic rituals. We pray unto you, therefore, to be pleased with us. Simply by chanting your holy name, one can surpass all obstacles. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you in your presence. Text 48. Sri Maitreya said, after Lord Vishnu was glorified by all present, Daksha, his consciousness purified, arranged to begin again the yajna which had been devastated by the followers of Lord Shiva. Text 49. Maitreya continued, my dear sinless Vidura, Lord Vishnu is actually the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. Yet, because of his being the super soul of all living entities, he was satisfied simply with his share of the sacrificial offerings. He therefore addressed Daksha in a pleasing attitude. Text 50. Lord Vishnu replied, Brahma, Lord Shiva, and I are the supreme cause of the material manifestation. I am the super soul, the self sufficient witness. But impersonally, there is no difference between Brahma, Lord Shiva, and me. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Sridevi Mataji, would you like to go next?
Okay. The Lord continued, my dear Daksha Dvija, I am the original personality of Godhead, but in order to create, maintain, and annihilate this cosmic manifestation, I act through my material energy, and according to the different grades of activity, my representations are differently named. The Lord continued, one who is not in proper knowledge thinks that demigods like Brahma and Shiva are independent, or he even thinks that the living entities are independent. 53. A person with average intelligence does not think the head and other parts of the body to be separate. Similarly, my devotee does not differentiate Vishnu, the all pervading personality of Godhead, from anything or any living entity. 54. The Lord continued, one who does not consider Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, or the living entities in general to be separate from the Supreme and who knows Brahman actually realizes peace, others do not. Text 55. The sage Maitreya said, thus Daksha, the head of all Prajapatis, having been nicely instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, worshipped Lord Vishnu. After worshipping him by performing the prescribed sacrificial ceremonies, Daksha separately worshipped Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Manasi Ganga Mataji, would you like to go next?
56. With all respect, Daksha worshipped Lord Shiva with his share of the remnants of the yajna. After finishing the ritualistic sacrificial activities, he satisfied all the other demigods and the other people assembled there. Then, after finishing all these duties with the priests, he took a bath and was fully satisfied. 57. Thus worshipping the Supreme Lord Vishnu by the ritualistic performance of sacrifice, Daksha was completely situated on the religious path. Moreover, all the demigods who had assembled at the sacrifice, blessed him that he might increase his piety, and then they left. 58. Maitreya said, I have heard that after giving up the body she had received from Daksha, Dakshayani, his daughter, took her birth in the kingdom of the Himalayas. She was born as the daughter of Mina. I heard this from authoritative sources. 59. Ambika, goddess Durga, who was known as Dakshayini Sati, again accepted Lord Shiva as her husband, just as different energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead act during the course of a new creation. Maitreya said, My dear Vidura, I heard this story of Daksha Yagna, which was devastated by Lord Shiva from Uddhava, a great devotee and a disciple of Brihaspati.
Thank you, Mataji. I think we just have one more verse left. Would you like to continue?
Okay. The great sage Maitreya concluded, if one hears and again narrates with faith and devotion this story of the Daksha Yagna as it was conducted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, then certainly one is cleared of all contamination of material existence, O son of Kuri.
Thank you, Mataji. So, thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the fourth canto, seventh chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Sacrifice Performed by Daksha. So, I thank you all very much for reading today. I think we have a lot of devotees. It just makes everything so much more richer and happier to be in the association of more devotees. So thank you all for joining. Is there anything that anyone would like to share from this chapter before we start reading all the purports and the verses to get to tomorrow? So anything from the storyline or anything from their own inspiration that they would like to share?
I was really very much touched by how Lord Shiva says that I do not take their offenses seriously. Just and then in that further the explanation is just like a father, disciplines his children with love, not taking it to heart. It's not like the punishment of an enemy. He definitely disciplines the rebellious living entities, but it is done with a loving mood to correct them.
Mm. Very nice point, Mataji. Thank you for bringing this up. Yeah, it's true.
I liked text 35 where the Sita is prayed, like an elephant that has suffered in a forest fire but can forget all its troubles by entering a river. Our minds, O Lord, always merge in the nectarian river of your transcendental pastimes, and they desire never to leave such transcendental bliss, which is as good as the pleasure of merging in the absolute. So just to be in that position where our minds always wanting to be in the nectarian river of the pastimes of the Lord. I mean, to get to that position would be very nice to always have the pastimes playing in one's mind.
Yes, Mataji. Actually, while I was reading this, that's one thing that was coming to my mind is actually like prayer is such a important part of our devotional service, and then like anything happens or like somebody says please pray for me, and then we tell devotees please pray for me, and like prayer in itself is very powerful and potent, and um, while I was reading this chapter, that's what I was thinking, that like different people who are present in the arena, the brahmanas, the wives of the brahmanas, and like so many other, the gandharvas, the vidyadharas, the demigods, everyone is actually praying to the Lord. And actually through their examples we can learn, just like you're reading from text 35, like uh, like how do we pray to the Lord, because for everything it seems like we need some kind of a guidance, and through scriptures and through these very wonderful examples we can actually learn the different ways of how prayers are performed. So I was appreciating that different devotees present in the arena see like Krishna differently, and according to what they see, they're actually offering prayers accordingly. So it was very interesting to read. Thank you, Mataji. So anyone
Thank you.
else?
Yeah, I wanted to share because I had this very strong feeling as they were reading the purport. What we have read so far of the Daksha Yagya, if we reflect back, it's very murky, very unholy. You know, can you imagine, like, you know, people fighting and chopping off the heads of people and, you know, destroying the sacrificial arena? And then I was astonished as soon as somebody read that Lord Narayana appeared as soon as Daksha offered oblations. I was shocked because after all that has happened, I would have never imagined that the Lord would appear there. But as soon as I heard that, I felt like, you know, look at the merciful nature of the Lord. To what extent can he forgive his devotees? Daksha had committed such a severe offense, like, you know, his daughter committed suicide, and he was insulting Lord Shiva, and they tried to destroy the servants of Lord Shiva by uttering mantras. He did so much, and then, like, you know, the Lord is willing to accept him again by coming in front of him, from the sacrificial arena. That surprised me very much. So there is always hope in devotional service, no matter how fallen we are. If we genuinely turn to the Lord, he's always there for his devotees. And that's how I felt when I read this. But we have not read further in the story. And but what will happen is that Daksha will continue with his fault-finding mentality. So the Lord may appear to us and he may give us very nice experiences, and we may surrender to him, but it's still possible that we hold on to our anarthas and we do not give up. And that's unfortunate, very unfortunate, because when the Lord appears, we have the full opportunity to take shelter of him. We have the full opportunity, just like Dhruva Maharaj. You know, he became a pure devotee. But it's unfortunate that if we choose not to give up our attachments, then even though the Lord has appeared in front of our eyes, then even he does not interfere with our choice or free will. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Yeah,
Nice
very nice
point.
point. Yeah, thank you for bringing it up. Yeah. Manisikanga Mataji, go ahead. You wanted to say something?
I was just saying that that was a very nice point. And so I'm just taking it further. I'm just wondering what, you know, you're saying that Daksha does not give up his, his position of fault finding, and yet, and was, the Lord presents himself and gives his mercy, and yet, like Dhruva, easily, and Prahlad too. I mean, they, 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 transcend this nature. So I'm wondering just what is it that that Prahlad with his dad, his father always attacking him and fault finding with him, and Dhruva being so hurt by the action of his stepmother. Like how is it that that with some people it or what is the process that that has enabled those great personalities to have the presence of the Lord, and they transcend, but then we're hearing that Daksha doesn't, even though he's given the same benediction of the Lord being there and presenting himself. I mean, it's just something to meditate upon. I don't know that there's an answer to that, but it was just a point that I was thinking, like, well, what is it that Daksha, why is he still, under the influence of fault finding, where the other ones, they have been able to transcend that mentality, so that I so that I can become a better devotee. I would just like to know.
Mataji, I wanted to share an analogy. I have shared this before, but the point that you brought up actually reminded me of this analogy again. I'm sure you remember, but it's always nice to hear, recollect again. So this one, actually, His Holiness Rompad Maharaj had shared some time back. So he was sharing how his room in New York has a window, and he was sharing that I think within 6 months or so that he was traveling, and by the time he came back, he saw that there was this beautiful tree that he could see from his window, which was not there before. So he was sharing how the tree actually within 6 months grew so tall. And in contrast, he spoke about a cactus plant. A cactus plant, on the other hand, for every year, apparently it just grows like 1 inch or something, like very little, to say so. And this tree had actually grown almost like 10 feet or so in 6 months. So it made him think, and he was sharing how the sunlight is same for all the trees. The water that is coming is same for all the trees. The underground water. The soil is same for all the plants. But actually, some plants are actually able to absorb more water, more sunshine, because of which their growth is so much more as relative to the variety, the cactus that he's speaking about. So actually, Krishna's mercy is there for everybody. It depends on how much we are open in our hearts to receive that mercy. So just like these two plants, like relatively the growth is so much more. Like sometimes even in Krishna consciousness, we see devotees who are practicing for many, many, many years, but their growth might not be as much. Whereas few devotees, like we see, like within no time, they actually grow so much, and then they take up to devotional service. Some people become brahmacharis, they just leave everything, they come and stay in the temple and find so much strength and happiness in it. So it is so he was actually indicating the point that Krishna's mercy is there for us, but it is from our side how much we are open to receiving that mercy, how much willing we are, what is our desire, and what is the determination we have that we can leave everything else and just focus on the mercy of Krishna. So, your point just reminded me of this that I thought I will share.
Thank you. It addresses it nicely.
Okay, so we have just 2 more minutes. Anyone else would like to share, comment on anything so far we have discussed or from the translations? Else we can end here and then continue again tomorrow.
Yeah, on this point that Lavanya Mataji asked, the difference is Dhruva was very earnestly seeking the mercy of the Lord. He was so fixed in his determination that he must get the darshan of the Lord that he decided at this tender age of 5 years to go into the forest. He lived on practically nothing. One by one, he started eliminating so many things because he was so fixed in his determination to gain the mercy, to gain the darshan of the Lord, that nothing else counted. It was like one pointed determination to get the mercy of the Lord. While Daksha wasn't interested in anything like that. He was actually thinking everybody should offer him adoration and praise and glorification. In fact, he didn't like it. That's how the whole story begins, about how he felt offended. Lord Shiva did not stand up, but why should Lord Shiva stand up? He is the greatest of the Vaishnavas. And then the whole, problems begin with that. So pride is a very difficult anartha to root out from the heart, especially if one has opulence. That's why Queen Kunti prays, Janma Ishwarya Shata, Janma Ishwarya Shruta Shribhir. What is that following? 1:826 in Srimad Bhagavatam, Janma Ishwarya Shruta Shribhir. Something.
Etamana Madapuman.
Madapuman, Naivarati Abhidatai. Twam akinchana gocharam. She says that one who has great opulence in terms of beauty, wealth, knowledge, bodily luster, education, and parental lineage, he does not call out feelingly, "Hey Govinda," because he is still thinking that he can improve himself through some material situation. I'm paraphrasing, I'm not saying the exact translation. And so Daksha was very puffed up with his own pride in his prestige, position, his bodily luster, his qualification, and he was not actively seeking. So he's like that cactus, as Premarasa Mataji says, very little he's able to receive the mercy because he is like an impervious barrier. He doesn't really absorb. But Dhruva, he he's so fixed that at one point he stops breathing, saying this is too much sense gratification, and brings the whole universal breathing to a halt. So there's a vast ocean of difference between the approach to the mercy of the Lord in both cases. Dhruva is very determined. In fact, Narad Muni tries to deter him, but he remains undeterred. He says, if you cannot help me, then I don't want to hear all these things about me being a small boy. I'm determined. So if you can tell me something helpful, it's okay. Otherwise, I don't want to hear all this. So he's so determined to gain the mercy of the Lord. So this is the kind of determination we need to have too, because Kali is very difficult age to deal with.
Very nice. Thank you.
Okay, Mataji, since we are past 6 o'clock, so we'll end here. We'll again continue tomorrow with more verses and purports. Thank you all very much for joining. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai. Thank you very
Jai.
much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.